What is up, everyone? My name is Carter Maxwell, and I'm here with my good friend and client, Zach. He's been absolutely killing it on Amazon lately. He's got a team of 2 virtual assistants that we help place for him. He's doing, well over $40,000 a month right now, and he's doing all of this while having a full-time job. So I'm sure he has a lot to share in this video. And if you are not yet subscribe to the channel. Zach, man, let's hop right into it. Can you talk a little bit more, maybe introduce yourself, maybe why you decided to start selling on Amazon?
Yeah, for sure. First of all, thanks for having me, Carter. It's an honor to be on here. I've never done an interview, so I'm a little nervous, but I'm excited to talk to you a little bit. So this December, it'll be a year and a half that I've been selling on Amazon, doing mostly pretty much all OA, a little bit of RA. I got my start just from watching YouTube videos. I jumped in and found Flips for Miles and Miles and Warner's course, FBA Roadmap. And basically I said, you know what, I'm going to invest the money into this, and then that at least gives me the opportunity to, no matter what else, I'm going to work until I make that money back. And as soon as I started my first month, I was like, okay, I get the proof of concept. This is doable. If other people are doing it, I can do it. I can grow it. So I just, pretty much hit the ground running, jumped right in, and, things have been going pretty good. A lot of ups and downs, but like you said, this last full month in October, I cracked 40K, super happy with that.
Love it, man. And can you tell us a little bit more about the business model that you currently perform, and then maybe why you chose it?
So I kind of mentioned OA, and that's online arbitrage, meaning that I'm buying stuff online, having it shipped either to my house or to a prep center, and then selling it on Amazon that way. I chose OA because I have an office job 9 to 5, so I don't have a ton of time to be out running to stores, doing the retail arbitrage where you go into the store, buy stuff, that kind of thing. So it, allows me to kind of get up early. I'm kind of an early riser, get up at 4 or 5 in the morning, go through online ordering, that kind of stuff, and then go to my 9 to 5 where I don't look at it for the rest of the day until the evening, basically. So that's why I chose that business model.
I love it, man. 4 to 5. You're probably catching a lot of those, new items coming back in stock that most Amazon sellers aren't seeing yet. You got that advantage, man. And I know, Zach, you said you've been selling on Amazon for about a year and a half. Can you take us back to the beginning of your Amazon selling journey? Because there's a lot of people watching this, and maybe they just started their Amazon business or they're about to start. Can you talk about maybe some of the common struggles that you went through as a new Amazon seller?
It's a lot to learn in the beginning. It seems crazy. My first shipment probably took me 3 hours to figure out the technical Amazon Seller Central side. And, really the hardest part and the most important part is just finding products. And that just takes time. I use SellerAmp, SAS, and Keepa, and that's pretty much it. And the first, month, 2 months, 3 months, I was spending just hours and hours just looking through leads, trying to find stuff. And it's really just the more time you have in it, the more success you're going to have, basically. You have to learn one way or the other, and putting in the hours up front is, in my opinion, the best way to do it. So put in the hours, figure out the techniques, and then eventually you can pull yourself out to some degree because you already know, some of the ASINs that really work, some of the sales that you need to key in on, how to immediately qualify or disqualify a product based on the data that those softwares provide for you.
Exactly. And that's what I try to tell new sellers is Amazon selling it's like a skill. The more repetition, the more keep it charts you view, the more products that you analyze, the better you're going to get, the better confidence you're going to have, and the easier it's going to be to continue scaling and growing that business. And on the topic of scaling, it seems like you've been having some great success lately. You're doing well over 40K a month. And hopefully as we approach December right now, you can, hit some record months as well. But how are you able to manage growing an Amazon business while also having a full-time job? Because I'm sure there's a lot of people watching this that have a full-time job, part-time job, or they're just super busy. How can they manage that and grow their Amazon business like you have?
Sure. So in the beginning, like I said, it's all about hours and time management. You have to put in the hours. So if you have time in the morning, you got to do it in the morning. If you have time in the evening, do it in the evening. And then once you have that skill, like you mentioned, the skills built, at least to some degree, you can, leverage other resources. Like for instance, I came to you and your company to help me hire a virtual assistant. So that was about a year into my Amazon journey. So I felt pretty confident. I was doing, 20,000, 30,000 months. Last December, I did like 54, 5, something like that, just by myself. But I realized that if I was going to get consistent growth, I just needed help. So the first thing I did, I hired a prep center. So that's a warehouse. Mine's in New Hampshire, where I pay per unit for the prep center to handle all the incoming shipments and then send it off to Amazon. And that really saves a ton of time, just not having to, package things, put it in poly bags, boxes, and ship it to Amazon, that kind of stuff. And then, like I said, I came to you to get a VA hired. So my first VA, Michael, is still with me. Been about 5 months now, I think. And I started him, originally, I wanted him to focus on sourcing. But I realized pretty quickly that actually what was bogging me down in the business more than sourcing was some of the admin tasks that you have to do. So order management, where you're going through your emails and inputting data into Amazon or into your other softwares or your spreadsheets, like that, I think is actually the first thing you should outsource to a virtual assistant. Get them managing your spreadsheets, get them managing some of the back end tasks that are easier to train and like less important tasks, because I really think that sourcing is like the bread and butter. Like that's where you're going to make your money. So too many sellers want to remove themselves from the sourcing process, but like I think it's really important to like stay in that. So I started Michael on the admin back end stuff. He really picked up. He's really great with spreadsheets, really great with Excel. And that just opened up a lot of my extra time to, learn new sourcing methods, dive into different sales, that kind of thing. And then after I felt really comfortable with those workflows, I brought in a second virtual assistant whose primary role is just to help me source. So I'm still doing, I think about 60% of our leads or our purchases are still my own purchasing. And then Michael handles some sourcing and some of the, and then all of the back end stuff. And then my second VA does sourcing as well. And she's getting up to about 30, 40, 50% as we, improve with that as well. So I really think it's just, learning the skills and then applying those levers where you can to help your processes, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. And like the reason you're able to do this is outsourcing. Like you said, first thing you did, you got a prep center. So you don't have to do any inventory prep yourself. You wanted more leads to purchase without you having to spend more time. You bring in a sourcing virtual assistant, an admin virtual assistant. And I know obviously a big topic on this channel is virtual assistants. I mean, I run a company where we place skilled VAs into Amazon sellers' businesses. And so I got a couple questions for you about virtual assistants, because I know you've been working with them for a couple months now. So Zach, my question to you, man, is when did you realize that maybe adding a virtual assistant could be the best step for you in your business?
Sure. So I think it was about like a little under a year in, or maybe right around a year in, where I felt like I could consistently hit, some of the spend goals and sales goals that I had. But any time where I had, busy schedule or had to remove myself from the business for more hours than I was used to, my output and my sales would like immediately drop. So I was like, okay, it's really proportional to like my hours in that I'm putting in is, correlated with the, output on sales, revenue, profit. That's great. I'm fine working hard, but when I don't have time, how can I make sure my business is still succeeding? So I kind of hit a plateau around that like $25,000 a month range, where I was like, I am not putting enough time in, and I'm seeing, smaller and smaller months because of that. What can I do aside from just, grinding it out? What else can I do? So, I had networked with you a little bit, and you, are really big in the game with the virtual assistants. And I think we jumped on a call, and I was just like, how does this work? Like, I need help. I don't know how to do this, but I think this is what I need. And you and your company really, made it easy for me, honestly. So it's been great so far.
Awesome, man. I love to hear that. And now you have two virtual assistants. I know you mentioned you have some of them doing some admin tasks, some sourcing tasks. Can you bring us back to maybe month one with your first virtual assistant? What was that process like, and how did you, transition that virtual assistant into your business? Like, how often were you communicating with them? Were you guys doing doing Zoom calls, sourcing? Like, how did you turn that virtual assistant into, the great VA that they are now?
So I first of all, I made a lot of mistakes at the beginning, and it definitely like set me back for a little bit. But then, like making those mistakes, I was able to tweak my process and learn with the VA and learn together, improve down the line basically. So initially, I thought like they would just be all sourcing, and then I could just do nothing. Basically, was like the plan, and that's the stupid plan. It doesn't work like that. So the leads he was sending me were like fine. I could tell that he sort of got the concept, but they just weren't like the same quality that like I was looking for. So I, communicated with him. We were doing Zoom calls once a week, mostly probably twice a week actually. Zoom calls twice a week, communicating via WhatsApp like daily, just bouncing ideas back and forth. And I kind of was like, I think this is working, but I think I'm still holding myself back by trying to remove myself from the sourcing side. So I reached out to you and I was like, hey, like here's what's going on. Like the leads are decent, but not enough, and I'm not spending enough. Like, what is your advice? And you kind of said like, hey, what are you spending more time doing? And at that point, I was spending a lot of time managing back end stuff, which was just a waste of time. I mean, not a waste of time. It has to be done, but you get it. It was more time on the back end stuff than I could have been spending on the sourcing. So we kind of tweaked our process, had my VA focus more on the admin and back end side of things. That way I could free myself up for more sourcing and more training him on sourcing techniques. So I was like recording myself sourcing, giving him feedback, showing him techniques, that kind of thing. That way, from that point forward, like it just felt like a much smoother process ironed out. Sorry, I feel like I'm getting rambling here. We got to cut a little bit in there, but sorry.
No, I really like it because a lot of people have this understanding that, you plug in a virtual assistant and like it's super smooth flowing from there. And I'm just like, it takes time, the virtual assistant's going to come in, they're going to have their skills, but there's still so much to learn. Every lead that they provide, you as the seller, you as the owner, you need to provide feedback. If you really liked that lead, well, let them know so they can go and find more. And if for some reason you didn't like that lead, maybe you decided not to purchase it, provide enough feedback so that they can learn and then they won't make that mistake in the future. Zoom calls, great communication. Those are all the skills that it takes to really build a great sourcing or just a great Amazon virtual assistant in general. And I know, Zach, there's probably a lot of people watching this video and they're like, oh my gosh, like, should I get a virtual assistant? What would you say to someone that maybe is in the same position as you? Maybe they kind of hit a plateau and they find themselves spending a lot of time doing, not super high income generating tasks in the business, but they're kind of on the fence about hiring a virtual assistant. They've never managed an employee before. This is someone that lives on the other side of the world. Like, what would you say to someone that maybe is on the fence about hiring a virtual assistant?
I think first of all, like the number one thing is that you have to understand that there is a amount of time that you have to put into it. Like when it comes to meeting weekly or daily, if you don't do those kind of things, it's not going to work out how you have to put in the time up front, and eventually you can, put in less and less time. Now, Michael and I, my main VA, we still meet about once a week, but I don't feel like I have to micromanage him because I put in the time, maybe 2 or even 3 months up front to really train him well, that I trust him. He knows what he's doing, that kind of thing. So I guess my first piece of advice is just like, understand that there is a amount of time that you have to put in. Like, it's not a one-stop shop, immediately fix all your problems. And then the second thing is, I really think that starting with an admin VA is like a great first step. I think removing yourself from, like you mentioned, some of the lower ROI tasks, like managing spreadsheets, managing maybe like returns if your supplier like has an issue, that kind of thing. Some of that stuff that just like takes time, but is not necessarily your highest revenue generating tasks. I think that's like the best place to start. And then from that point forward, once you're comfortable with the process of managing somebody, communicating effectively, that kind of thing, then you can look at adding a second or adding additional responsibilities to your first virtual assistant, that kind of thing. And my other piece of advice is, if the process of finding a VA or interviewing or anything like that seems overwhelming to you, then hire Carter's company. That's what I did. Like I said, I have a 9 to 5, so I don't have a ton of, I have other responsibilities and that kind of thing, to where I didn't feel like I could put my full effort into the hiring process. So I said, like, what are my other options? And you guys handled it for me some degree. You set up some of those interviews, got me into those interviews and into like the second step instead of starting from basically zero, trying to find virtual assistants. And it just really gave me, confidence knowing that like you and your team have already done this. And if I had any help, like you guys would help me out basically.
Awesome, Zach. Well, I appreciate those kind words. Yeah, for the people that are watching, Zach joined the VA Fastlane. Essentially what we do is we help provide skilled product sourcing virtual assistants for Amazon online arbitrage sellers. We're the ones, we go out, we find them, we test them, we put them through our leads incubator. Like we make sure that they are skilled, they can find leads before we even set them up for interviews with our clients. So we try to just basically fast track that process and make it a little easier for y'all. Looks like Zach already kind of plugged it for me. If you guys are interested in learning more about the VA Fastlane, in the description of this video, I'll have a link where you can book a call with me. We can see if you're a good fit to bring on a virtual assistant. I'll also have my Instagram down below. So if you have any questions for me about the service or just general questions about virtual assistants, go follow me there and shoot me a DM. Zach, another question I've got for you, man. There's a lot of people that are going to be inspired from this video. You have a full-time job. You're doing $40,000 a month. You just hired your second virtual assistant. Someone is wanting to start selling on Amazon today. What's one big piece of advice or tip that you would give to that new seller?
Dive into the free content. Carter, your YouTube channel, like I mentioned before, Flips for Miles YouTube channel, there are tons of experts in the field that are doing numbers that you would not believe, and they put so much stuff out for free. Dive into the videos. You can learn really as much as you need completely for free. Just getting on YouTube, get on Instagram, ask questions to sellers. If you want to DM me, my Instagram is out there. It's zachsells.fba. I need to work on the content side of things, but if you are interested in shooting me a DM, like I will answer you for sure. So network with sellers, people who have already done it at any stages of the journey, and just dive into the free content. That is definitely the place to start.
I love it, man. That was going to be my follow-up question is where can people learn more about you? So I'm going to put your social media, I think you said your Instagram. I'm going to put a link to it at the top of the description. Y'all go follow Zach, show him some love. I'm sure if you have any questions, he's a really cool guy, so he's going to be more than happy to help. So y'all go follow him on social media. If you guys have any questions regarding anything Zach talked about in this video, questions for me, comment below this video. We'll be more than happy to help. If you are not yet subscribed to the channel, subscribe to the channel. Zach, man, thank you so much for joining, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.